Watch this to understand why not everyone should be trusted with the care of that your little girl. Little Amarachi was the joy of her parents' lives. At just 2 years old, she was as beautiful as a doll, chubby, fair-skinned, and always smiling. Her round cheeks and bright, curious eyes made everyone adore her. Wherever she went, people admired her, calling her angel and princess. Among those who seemed to love Amarachi the most was Obinna, their 27-year-old neighbor. He was like family, always around, always eager to help. He often bought Amarachi sweets, biscuits, and toys. He would carry her in his arms, spin her around, and call her my wife. Whenever he said that, Amarachi's mother, Nneka, would laugh it off, thinking it was just playful talk. Obinna was also Nneka's go-to person whenever she needed to step out quickly. She trusted him. After all, he had always been kind to them, always available to help. What harm could he possibly do? That afternoon, Nneka needed to buy some groceries from the market. As usual, she left Amarachi in Obinna's care. "Please help me watch her, I won't take long," she said. Obinna smiled. "You know I love this girl like my own, don't worry." Nneka rushed out, not knowing she had just made the worst mistake of her life. When she returned about 30 minutes later, she found Amarachi crying uncontrollably. She looked uncomfortable, shifting in pain. Nneka was confused. Amarachi was usually a cheerful baby, but that day nothing could calm her down. She carried her, rocked her gently, and even bought her favorite biscuits, hoping it would suit her. Nothing worked. The crying continued. "Obinna, what happened? Why is she crying like this?" she asked, concerned. Obinna put on a worried face. "She fell while playing. I gave her paracetamol, and she is feeling better now." Nneka frowned. "She fell? Where?" "In the backyard. But it wasn't serious," Obinna assured her. Something didn't sit right, but Nneka didn't argue. She was only focused on stopping her baby's tears. As the evening approached, Nneka decided to bathe Amarachi, hoping it would make her feel better. She filled the small bathtub, placed Amarachi in it, and gently poured water over her. But as soon as she reached down to wash her private part, Amarachi let out a piercing scream. Nneka's heart pounded. "What is it, my baby?" She looked closely, and what she saw made her entire body tremble. There was redness and swelling in Amarachi's private part, with wounds. A wave of fear and nausea hit her. Her hands shook as she quickly wrapped Amarachi in a towel. "Jesus, Jesus, what is this?" She grabbed her phone and called her husband, Emeka. "Come home now. Please, just come," she cried over the phone. Without wasting time, she rushed Amarachi to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor ran some checks. His face darkened as he looked at Nneka. "Madam, your daughter has been sexually abused." The words hit Nneka like a hammer. No, doctor, it's not possible. Who would do such a thing?" Her mind raced. She had only left her baby with one person, Obinna. Emeka arrived at the hospital minutes later. When he saw his wife crying, clutching Amarachi like her life depended on it, he knew something was terribly wrong. "What happened?" he asked, his voice shaking. Nneka could barely speak. Obinna did something to our baby," she sobbed. Emeka's hands clenched into fists. His whole body burned with anger. Instead of confronting Obinna immediately, they made a plan. They couldn't let him escape without saying anything to him. They quietly went to the police station and reported the case. That night, The police officers arrived at Obinna's house and arrested him. At first, he denied everything. "I would never do such a thing," he shouted. But after hours of interrogation and some questioning, his lies fell apart. The police found the painkillers he had tried to give Amarachi to reduce her comfort. He had planned to act as if nothing happened. Under pressure, he finally confessed. I couldn't control myself," he muttered, hanging his head in shame. But there was no excuse for such evil. Obinna was charged and sent to prison, never to walk free again. But for Emeka and Nneka, no punishment could erase the pain. Their beautiful baby had suffered because of their trust in a man they considered a friend. From that day, Nneka swore never to leave Amarachi or any child with any man, no matter how kind he seemed. Because monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they smile at you. They buy your child gifts. They call her my wife. And they wait for the moment you trust them the most to strike.